So the big elephant in the room for the building industry is what is going to happen over the next 12 to 18 months. As a general contractor, and even if you're a client of a general contractor or considering a build or remodel, you have to look at what's really going on in the market. This is not a normal market. And just like trying to predict home prices, predicting what is going to be available for construction is a huge factor. So we're going to take a look at a couple industry publication market predictions and also talk about in real life what these mean. So here's Equipment Today magazine talks about the state of construction. The new year brings uncertainty with supply chain and labor. That's going to be the key. Everybody sees on the news the factor of lumber price or maybe supply chain for appliances. And those are factors. The much bigger elephant in the room is the labor availability. And we'll look at that, how it's addressed in these articles. It says right here, supply chain will be corrected over time, and it may take a while, and we'll talk about how that happens. But the labor shortages plaguing the industry are expected to intensify. So what they're saying is the lumber and the materials and the appliances might work itself out. And by work itself out, that only means that there'll be more available. It's not going to change the price. The price is not going to go back down. And we'll talk about projections of where that is. They may not go up too much more, but the price for appliances, materials, roofing, lumber, cement, concrete, those have raised up in the last 24 months. And the current levels are probably going to be a ratchet point, meaning that it ratcheted up to that. It's not going to go down much below that. It might go up and hover at that range up and down, but it's not going to go back down to pre-pandemic levels. And the reason why is because the production means for those things has changed. The way that lumber is produced, the way that appliances are produced, those industries are all different now. Just like the car business is no longer going to have dealerships with 500 cars on the lot, because they found they can make just as much money selling 40 cars a month. The appliance industry is not going to have hundreds of different models available. And we'll see that in this other article, where one of the things that builders are doing is reducing SKUs in effort to work around supply chain. And a SKU is basically a model number. So instead of having 40 different appliance packages you can pick for a new home build, you're going to have 2. And by consolidating the available offerings to a buyer, it makes it not only easier, not only more profitable, but even possible to build homes. And the supply chain challenges is what they're talking about. But even in this article, it's going to talk about, raw materials and the raise in price of 10 to 20,000. But the most important thing is labor. The supply chain can be fixed by maybe building new factories, getting more shipping. You can't replace the loss of qualified labor technicians or tradesmen, because those take a generation to create. As electricians, skilled trades like framing, plumbers, HVAC, roofers, all leave the business as they age out, people retire. Or they find other businesses to be in that, quite frankly, aren't as physically demanding. They're not going to go back into the industry. And to train a new crop of skilled tradespeople could be a 15 to 20 year pipeline cycle of getting people in trade schools, getting people to go in that career path. And that's what it says right here. In terms of labor, Gen X retired in record numbers during the pandemic. The industry has not developed a talent base to replace those who have left, which will be an ongoing challenge. says technology is one answer, but you can't use technology to swing a hammer and to frame roof rafters or trusses. The industry needs to attract new generation of workers. So we see this every day in our business, in our contracting business. There are no qualified people that are excess. They're all working for an employer currently. Most of the ones who want to leave a current employer are poor quality. They want to leave because really their employer doesn't want them there anyways. Maybe they're not really that good. Maybe they have personal life problems. So the only ones that are looking for a job are ones you don't want to have anyways. The ones who are good at their job, their current employer is holding on to them like $1 million lottery ticket. So if you're a builder looking to expand your business or to do more business, it's very difficult to find new additions to your workforce. We'll talk about ways to accommodate that. One way is to make more efficient building processes. And you can look at what the suppliers are doing. You know, suppliers are dealing with lengthy timelines and missing parts where you can't just get enough throughput. For example, KB Home says garage doors are a challenge. There are real issues around garage doors, and they're trying to figure out how to do that. One of the things they're doing is minimizing garage door styles that it offers to match what's available. Same thing with appliances. One builder is finishing homes with appliances bought from Best Buy or with loaner appliances. Just something to put into the space to get the home closed, and they'll fix it later. What's the solution? Well, this is a solution happening in every industry. In the automotive industry, in the equipment industry, in the electronics industry. Limited choice, improved quality. And the way that works is if you offer a certain number of products, 3 or 4 as an example, if you take it down to 1 or 2 and you reduce the choice, you improve your ability to get the product and compress the build time. And it also gives you higher quality. Now, customers are already getting used to not having a huge variety of things to pick from. You go to the car dealership, there used to be 400 cars on a lot, now there's 20. So you got to take what you can get. They're used to not having as many choices for menu items in a restaurant, not as many houses for sale. Within the building industry, if you're a smart, shrewd contractor and you limit your offerings to a very narrow range without having the customer be able to pick and choose whatever they want, you can deliver a job to that customer rather than having to pass on the job or price it too high. If you tell them, look, if you want an addition, we can do this type of addition with trusses, standard framing, standard insulation, standard trim work finishing, standard flooring. That's it. Nothing crazy. No unusual architecture. No difficult building materials. If you do that, we can deliver you a product. And clients are now more willing to do that because they see it in everyday life. So if you're a contractor, not that you need more business, but if you are struggling with finding good help, finding good labor work tradespeople, if you consolidate your job so it doesn't need as much man hours of labor into the job, you may be able to deliver something for the client. It'll probably be cheaper than what they're imagining, and you can put boundaries on what the client wants to get. And look, they may want to have certain specific things, but in reality, in the long run, it's probably better for the client to keep things more standardized. Think back in the 1970s, when you had avocado green sinks and you had Pepto-Bismol pink appliances in the kitchen and Harvest Gold rugs. If things were kept more standardized, the design development will have more longevity in terms of you don't have to replace it that often. Custom granite countertops in 3 years, that style of granite isn't popular anymore. If you keep things standardized, you can offer a lower price. If you're looking to bid a job, maybe offer the customer two options. Look, if you're adding on a 1,500 square foot addition with a new kitchen and new bath and maybe an extra window in the balcony, if you tell them, look, if I do your specs from your architect with all your finishings, it's going to cost $280,000. If I do the same footprint, but with my roof trusses, maybe you'll lose the cathedral ceiling, standard builder grade paint and finishing, and maybe you don't have this bump out, maybe you don't have this difficult, roof line. It's going to be $180,000. The client may be more inclined to do it, and you can tell them it'll be done quicker. Take control of the project. Don't necessarily let the tail wag the dog if you are a builder. And if you're a home owner or somebody building a house for your own use or somebody putting on an addition, be flexible with your builder. If you want something to exactly your specs, that's fine. That's your right, your prerogative. But don't take it personally if the builder wants to offer something different, because they're just trying to help you at least get something done. Using that same car dealership mentality, if you walk into a car dealership and say, I want a lime green with this option package, 82A, with the fancy wheels and the upgraded sound system and the navigation and the infotainment, and it's got to have option 42B with the backup camera, whatever. Okay, you can have that, but it's going to take 6 months to order one, and it might be the next model year, so it's more money. But if you take the one in stock that's maybe silver, it doesn't have this other option, you can have it right now, and it's going to be $1,000 less. At least give the customer the option. And if you're a customer, be flexible. Look, it's not the builder's fault that this market is existing, so don't take it out on them. Don't blame it on them. Look and ask your builder for what the options are. Now, if you don't believe your builder is being scrupulous with you and they're just making things up for their own benefit, then get another builder. But if you're dealing with somebody who's honest and somebody who is authentic in what they're discussing with you, and you can verify it all, and they're giving you an option to do something maybe slightly different than your ideal dream project, but it's going to be doable quicker, maybe they can take the job rather than having to pass on it, and cheaper, look at it as an option that you have. And in reality, 5 years from now, it's not going to make that much difference. The space will be there. The window's going to be there. It may not be the, custom teak frame, triple pane mullion window, but it's still going to be a window, and you can get it. The appliances might not be, the upgraded Miele, washer, dishwasher, Viking range. It might be something different than that, but at least you have your project done. And if you want to upgrade those later, you can. More than likely, you'll be fine with something that's a little bit more standardized. The mentality of having to lower expectations, it's not because builders want you to lower your expectation. It's because the reality of the marketplace is making that the solution that builders are able to offer. Even one of the largest home builders, KB Home, is limiting its appliance options to only stainless steel, which reduces their SKU count from 400 to 150. So they all get all their appliances from Whirlpool, but it sounds like in the past you could get white, black, gray, stainless, any different colors. Well, they said no, you can now get stainless only. And it helps you with lead times and simplifies the internal process, which in fact makes it better for the customer. As a customer, you might think, well, I want to have my choice. So that's great. Ideally, KB Homes would probably want you to have your choice too. But since they're trying to assist getting the ball across the finish line and getting your home closed, they're doing what they have to do to make it better for you. So if you can be part of that solution and collaborate with your builder, it might be a win-win for everybody. And even some of the insiders are seeing that. I think customer sentiment is changing. They want customization, but it doesn't have to be every single feature in the house. Pick out a couple things that you want to customize that are doable, and leave the rest for later, or maybe not do them at all. A good analogy is this. I remember 7 or 8 years ago, I have a very close friend of mine who was at an electronics store, something like Best Buy, looking at TVs. And you've all been to the electronics store, whether it's at Walmart or Costco or Best Buy, and there's 100 TVs on the wall. And he was looking at a certain TV. Let's say it's a 42-inch, back 10 years ago, that was a good-sized TV. And there were 10 of them on the wall, and they all were about the same. One might have been $40 less, $50 less, $100 more, whatever. And looking at them, all the features are different. The blackness, the frequency range, the refresh rate, all the different features on the TV. And he was having a tough time picking out a TV. And I remember he called me up on the cell phone. We were talking about something else. He goes, "Yeah, I'm at Best Buy right now, and I can't decide what TV to get. And they're all, I could spend $20 more to get this or $30 less to get that." And it's not like he didn't have the money. This is a wealthy, affluent person, well off. So he could pick out whatever TV he wanted, but he just couldn't decide. And I told him, his name was George, I said, "George, think about it. In the store, you see all these different TVs and all these choices. No matter which TV you pick out, when you bring it home and put it on your wall and watch it, it's going to look good. It's going to be a nice TV on your wall. So don't worry about picking one out. Pick out the one that seems like it's decent, good price, good brand, and don't nitpick over the little one detail over another. Because when you get home and put it on your wall without any other 100 TVs around it, it's going to look just fine. Same thing with your remodel or your addition or your new home. If it's a new house and it's got good stuff in it, it's going to look fine because you're not going to be comparing it to anything else. So in these days of limited supply chain, labor problems, whoever you want to blame for that, whoever you think's at fault, whatever you think it's not fair or not fair, doesn't matter. Look at what the reality is of having a solution and work with your builder. Make them a partner in your solution. If you think that you don't want to work with them as a partner because you don't trust them, then stop and get another builder, but then work with that builder, right? Be collaborative with your building partner. And if you're a builder, work that way with your customer. Let them know, look, I want to help you. If you want every last thing customized, we'll do that. But it's going to make more than this much difference. It's going to make a big difference because of labor, supply chain. Maybe put together some resources that help demonstrate that. So the building industry is still being pressured by supply chain, which will work itself out at some point within the next year or two. But the labor is not going to change. And a smart builder, a smart developer, a smart general contractor is going to recognize, look, tradespeople and labor is not going to be magically resolved. So build your business around not having employees at will. Build it around not having as many people as you want to chip in and frame and side and all the other things you need to do. Build your business around having limited resources, keeping it simple, keeping great people around if you have them. Still look for opportunities to add to your team, but don't try to over promise to a client or even to yourself in how much you can do. Maybe make it up in volume of simple projects versus quality of complicated projects.